Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS speed risk.
Roger, nice to be in orbit. The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
All the way from the Deep South. Thank you, Curtis. I am Joe Rubin. This is Lighting the Void, and we are broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. We're live on the Fringe FM. It's Thursday, October the 24th on into the 25th. And tonight our guest is show host, podcast host, conscious explorer, artist, occultist, music maker. Niish is back with us tonight. So it's, you know what time it is, right? It's story time. And you're going to get it pretty raw. So Niish is kind of more like, at this point, I would consider her more like a co-host, really. So she's in the virtual shack with us tonight. Also, I want to say thank you to Nick, Sporting Hat, brother, and the guy that bought the T-shirt. I don't know your real name, but I know your name in chat. Thank you for buying the T-shirt. Look, if you guys want some shirts, hats, hoodies, all that stuff, go to the website, lightingthevoid.com/shop. More people are getting stuff. Or you can be like Jose and make your own Void Walkers. Pretty cool. I want to talk about this McKay Manor. I want to talk about it so bad. I'm going to have to put it off for now. Another thing, too, people have been asking me about the Psalms thing. Look, it's lightingthevoid.com/Psalms. But if you just go to Gumroad and look up Frederick Xavier, you'll see it there. Go grab it. Get the tea.com. Want to give a big shout out to our sponsors. Grab your super strength tea, the D365, especially now. There's all kinds of bugs and weird stuff going around, so stay healthy. Take your Allison Advanced. Take all that stuff. Prepare yourself. Take the CBD oil, ancientlifeoil.com and prepareatthefringe.com. Also head over to UFO Seekers, backed and supported by the Fringe FM. I heard some of you actually did holler at YouTube for us. Thank you. Appreciate that. Tell them what's up. Let them know that they're being shady. YouTube, you shadies, some bitches. UFOseekers.com, youtube.com/UFO Seekers. That's where you go for season 4 if you want to watch some real UFO footage and real research. That's where you go. So I want to get this on the road now. The website, if you haven't checked out the podcast, is noxmente.com, or it's noxmente.simplecast.com. And Niish and her co-host Jerry also they've interviewed, God, I don't know how many people, and it's specifically about the main topic of the show is consciousness exploration, and it kind of centers around dreams. However, Niish just isn't all about dreams, are you, Niish? You'd like to do other things, like play with music, and I hope you're not playing with dark magic there in this dark time, for God's sake. How you been?
I've been good. I love the intro of I'm giving it raw. What can I say to that? Yeah,
because you're not afraid to say anything, that's for sure.
It's always a pleasure to be back here, definitely.
Yeah, last time we were on here, we were talking about demon possession and stuff, but before I get into this McKay Manor thing, like I sent you that video of it, like this guy, for some reason now it's perpetuating. Everybody's focused on this place now. So I guess, hoorah for this dude. But if nobody knows what I'm talking about, it's like supposedly the craziest haunted house. You got to sign a 40-page waiver or whatever. I didn't think it was going to be this big of a deal, but now everybody's looking at it like it's some kind of fantastic, I guess, holistic goal to do for themselves, but it really isn't. It sucks. I'll tell you why. And I want to talk to this dude. I want to get him on the show hopefully next week, or at least talk to him for 5 minutes, because I'm not convinced this guy's a good man. And I'm just not. I think if anytime you get off on torturing people like that, the way that he does, something's wrong with you. And now the energy is just, it's yucky. It's all over Facebook, social media. And I feel like Reven right now, I'm kind of responsible for that. So, damn it. You know?
think he's summoning some dark magic?
No, actually, I think it's purely psychological. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's messing with people's brains.
What about with that whole idea that I've been onto about possession and the feeding of energy and the feeding off of other people, and especially through states of fear? One of the major ways to arise high amounts of energy is through fear.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, see, we're going dark fast already, but yeah, that's right. You know, but speaking of which, I was on your Twitter channel and I saw some strange activity.
Yes.
You said, look, this is something weird that's happening on my place. Honestly, I forget what the Twitter thing said. And you opened a stove and there was like a knife or a sword, or you got a stalker out there or something?
I have always had my share of stalkers. This is for sure. This one is, you know what? Nothing has followed up since this happened, but it was kind of strange and perplexing. And some of the feedback I received was that it was possibly like a nerdy gift. But here's the story. I go out to my mailbox, and this is a place where I go every day, and otherwise, I don't walk my property to see stuff. So that's going to be a place that's an obvious spot for something like this to catch my eye. So there it is. There's this trash. And as I kind of grumble about trash floating around and always ending up in my yard, and I reach down to pick it up, and it's heavy. Something's in this blue shop paper towel bundle. And you know the kind I'm talking about, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Like the blue shop rags.
Yeah.
So something's wrapped in there. And so now my attention's full on. I'm not kind of internally mumbling about trash. I unroll it. It was neatly done. And there's this kind of handmade machete thing it's on my social media. It's on my Instagram and Twitter, and it's kind of cool. I've got to say, I thought it was.
It just showed up on your property, though. Like you didn't put that out there.
No. It was definitely where I would encounter it. And so at this point, I bring it in, and in the video you see I have an old wood stove outside by my garage, and that's where I'm taking that video from. And so you see me touching it, and it had old paint on it, red paint, but it was recently sharpened. And I was told from a metalsmith friend of mine that it was crudely cut, that it's a crude tool. I couldn't do it, however, but a metalsmith was saying, oh, it's so simple. And but it was recently sharpened, freshly sharpened. And there it is. It was clearly for me to find. And as a gift, it's a strange gift. I understand that it could be considered a cool gift, and it would have been a cool gift had it been from a friend or someone I know. But the fact that it was placed out there, and so gingerly placed, by the way, and almost wrapped, it could have had a bow on it, was and is mysterious. So that's it. It's a take your guess. There's some follow-up though. I had my good friend, Montana Jordan, came here and she comes here. She wanted to check out the energy around the house and this particular object. And we did a Ouija board session around it. And so there was some, she was encountering some stuff, some spirits around the yard, but they couldn't get in because of the warding I've done. And then also a few friends helped, like Solaris Blue Raven and a few others. So I guess my warding on the property is pretty well done because these spirits are outside and couldn't get in. And well, that's it.
You went straight for the Ouija board?
Well, this is what Montana Jordan does. This is her thing. So, she's a demon hunter. You should have Montana on. She's fantastic.
Demon hunters.
Yeah, I think yes, Montana Jordan. And she's out there in the world. She's got a big thing going on. And so, and recently just got picked up on the Travel Channel. So you should check her out. I'll send you her link.
Okay.
Anyway, so she got in there with me, and like I said, Solaris Blue Raven, and we did a little bit of our witchy woo, and a couple other friends helped. And the energy's been really fine here, and we dispelled the energy that was on that particular object. However, it is still mysterious. I still have no idea what the intent is or who it was from.
No, apparently this couldn't have been made, at least in my opinion. It doesn't look like something that a girl made and stuck in it. This is something like you got a weird dude out there. Do you live in the woods, like outside the city?
I live in a small town, and I'm close to a forest, a national forest. So, but it is a town. It's definitely a town. So I'm not like totally remote, but I think this was definitely, Joe, let me preface this. I have had other people taking dirt. I've caught them taking dirt from my yard, and it's a thing to get dirt out of a witch's yard and all that. So, it just is. It's, I don't know what the intent is, so I can't answer that. But sometimes it can be good or bad. But it's like, there's a practice of, they call it buying graveyard dirt. So you go to a graveyard and you buy dirt from the dead, and you offer something to the grave and to the ground, and you buy the dirt. And then, in return, you take some dirt, and you can use it in gopher dust and other spells and stuff as an ingredient. So, who knows, which is dirt. And then perhaps this was a gift for taking dirt. I had just caught some guy taking dirt, but this was months before that. But I caught him, and I ran out there, and I saw you, little man, and I had my two fingers pointed at him, and he looked back. He could barely see me. He's like, "I'm sorry, you're gorgeous," and blah blah blah. And
what the hell? That's weird.
He
though.
said that He said all that. He was being nice, I think, to derail from the fact that I caught him taking dirt.
He said you're gorgeous, but he's taking dirt from your yard.
He was running.
Sorry.
He was a total creep. I've never seen him again. And it's just one of those things I just chalked up. Everyone around here knows I'm a witch. And so it's, I'm like the local witch here, and I have my house, even though I'm in a small town, my house is in the middle of the woods in it, because I've got like a permaculture set up, so there are pathways, and it feels like you're in the woods when you're on my property. So it's cool like that. It's a great space.
Well, how does everybody in the town know you're a witch? I don't know what the intent of this
is. I give off that vibe, Joe.
Oh yeah. Aren't you supposed to keep that stuff secret?
Well, I'm not advertising it. I just think that people realize it. It's in the same way where you look at, say, someone like Stevie Nicks, whether or not she's saying she's a witch, you just would presume, right? Yeah. So I have a certain vibe, and it gets perceived that way. And I'm all right with it. I'm just being myself, baby.
I understand. I get that too. I get perceived certain ways all the time. I think we all do. And apparently right now there's some weird stuff going on. I think the internet, like Facebook is down. I don't know. TalkStream Live
Yes.
might be working. Who knows what's working right now? Isn't Mercury going in retrograde again or something, I think? Look at that.
It's going on Samhain, on Halloween. It's going retrograde.
Is it? Great.
Yeah.
That's a perfect time
So-
for it to do it. Jesus.
I know, isn't it? I know. It's going to be auspicious. Well, it's, it's kind of back and forth right now. So we're kind of in the shadow of it right now. So, as with all Mercury retrogrades, just slow down, plan ahead, go through stuff. With all retrogrades, it's, I think, a time to kind of revise stuff, look back and reorganize through stuff. And so for me, I use my Mercury retrogrades in that way. I actually go through and look at old writing and see what I can do to improve it. I know other astrologers do not do that, but that praxis works for me. I actually am one of the few people that loves the Mercury retrograde.
I'm not.
But I
I don't
born
love it
under
at
a
all.
Mercury
I'm afraid of
retrograde.
it.
No, don't be afraid.
I got all this internet stuff that needs to work, man.
Yes. Okay. So on that front, absolutely. It can be messy with that, and driving and, automobiles and all that. That's where it's not cool. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know.
Equipment
Light a
and,
candle to Mercury.
Right, yeah. Sturgill Simpson's got a cool song about that. Mercury is in retrograde. He's talking, and I don't know if you listen. Do you listen to? You probably don't listen to any of the country music, but he's like modern day country, but old style.
Isn't he
country.
roots? Yeah, I like roots country.
Yeah, and he has a song where he talks about how he tries to burn things down and drive away, but Mercury always brings the stuff around back for him again. It's a pretty cool song.
You know what? I'm 100%. I'm not into modern country, but I can pull up to roots any day. I mean, one of my favorite songwriters is Lucinda Williams. You know who she is?
No, I feel bad that I don't too, because it sounds so familiar. I'm sure I know who it is.
Man.
I'm sure I've heard the song. I'm just not good with names.
Songs. She's just brilliant. I mean, so many. Emmylou Harris. I mean, I can go down this. And then, of course, all the old school people, Kitty Wells and all that kind of stuff. Hank Williams. I'm down with all that.
Hank Williams Jr.? What about Hank Williams Jr.?
I love me some Hank Williams Jr. So I like Hank Williams and I like Hank Williams the third. So Hank Williams Jr.'s son, because he brought it back to the original roots type of music, like his granddad.
Well, I think that stuff, I don't know, it gives me a feeling of like down home stuff. I don't know. I like it. I just like it. I don't like all the new country, weird new. I don't like any of this new music. But you make music, right? So when did you start doing this?
I've been making music a very long time. I've been doing experimental music since I was a teenager. So, but I just recently, in the last 2 years, started going back into those waters and returning to experimental music. And it started with because I write poetry as well, and I was doing spoken word. And then that led from doing just plain old spoken word into the mic, with trying to do good voice. I thought, well, maybe I'll add some beat to this. And so I got into GarageBand. I started creating some beat. And next thing you know, I had some funky kind of 1960s word jazz going, man. And and then I started adding some singing tracks, and here I am doing full-on strange, trancey synth wave. I'm very, very into trance synth wave stuff right now. And everything I put out has a full video. So on my channel, it's not just tracks, it's a full video for every song I have out there. And they're all a little different. I don't think you can nail me down right now.
Yeah, you're just all over the place, right? So tell me, people they want to know this, since you're a witch, right? They want to know, and I don't think we've ever kind of really defined this with you. What kind of magic do you practice? Is it like witchcraft, Wicca? Is it all kinds of different stuff?
Yeah, I'm not a Wiccan. And so there's not really, I talk about this a lot. I'm not like a witch you read about. I'm definitely not like the kind you see in sitcoms and all that. I'm a different kind of witch, and I've come about it from a different angle. And of course we are a product of how we are programmed as young people, right? And move through. So I didn't get religion forced on me, and that was a gift from the people around me. However, I do come from witchy women on my maternal side, a long line of them, very long line of them. And I paid attention. I've always loved my elders. So whereas my great grandmother had a lot of folkish stuff happening in the kitchen, she had little superstitions. I picked up all that stuff, but yet she was also an Eastern Star, and my grandfathers and all this were Masons, so there was a sense of ceremonial and tradition within structured ways of doing things. And so I've come to have a combination. My mother was very of her generation, kind of free with it, kind of new agey, and then of course she's got Native American in her, so there's that whole angle. And this is the cauldron in which I'm born of. So my stuff is informed by those things, and then in my path and on my path through the years, I've been in a lot of different orders, a lot of seeking, made it high, got low.
You've been in a lot of different orders. Like what orders? Do you mind telling us?
I don't want to say.
Oh, come on.
That's
just one?
No.
Just one.
I think it's rude. There are some I actually can't say. Like, you're sworn oaths. I've sworn oaths of fealty. There are a couple that are just so secretive that you don't know they exist. And I'm a member. So even though I don't participate, once you sign an oath of fealty, though, you are once a member, always a member, kind of that kind of thing. And so where that's going and what I'm saying with that is I discovered that there was nothing I didn't already know. And that's one of my messages to people in the world. The information's all out there, Joe. It's everywhere now. This is the internet age. And I think if you're doing the work on yourself with shadow projections and understanding your personal psychology, these roads, you start messing with stuff you don't understand through projection in the outer world, you're going to be in a heap of trouble if you haven't worked on yourself, because you're projecting your inner crap out onto the world, and it can form. Thoughts are spells. We create thought forms, tulpas, that whole thing. And if you're not mentally stable, this is trouble. And that's where I always stand with this kind of stuff. I'm not one to summon demons, so I'm not into the goetic stuff. Right. Yes, I understand it. I like so here's kind of honing it down. I like working with the planetary spheres. It's Thursday today, so who's Thursday? It's Jupiter. I love Jupiter. I always say hello to Jupiter and light some candles. The gents of Jupiter, baby. Pull out a cigar, get some whiskey, get some blue on. There's an Orphic hymn to Jupiter. Yeah. Jupiter will grant you very nice things. All the spheres will, if you honor their frequency.
Yeah.
Which is a very important thing. But then on the other hand, I'm very folkish. So I go out, I grow medicine in my yard, I grow food. I'm very witchy poo in that way too. So you'll come in my kitchen, there are herbs hanging everywhere that came from my garden. I use them. I'm a cooker. I cook everything from scratch. And, I consider myself a full grade A, stamped on my ass witch, because I'm working with all of the spheres. And so whereas like the North, say, for example, the North is the earthy stuff. And that's the stuff I was just talking about with like the kitchen witchery and the bush witchery. And then there's the intellectual stuff in the East. Some people are East is fire. Some people East is air. And, so, but I get into the intellectual stuff, the poems and the word witchery and all that stuff. That's the air, all that good stuff. And then, there's the fire, and the fire is a great place to pull in the passion and ideas for artistic stuff, sex magic, all that juicy stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's the emotional stuff in the West, where we can hone into our emotions and call upon the emotions of those around us, or working with the water energies. And I could talk for hours about this kind of stuff. So I guess in some ways I'm eclectic, but I want to say I'm not as eclectic as the eclectic witches that talk about that as a title. I have no titles.
Well, so you're, you know what that is to me? That's just a witch, honestly. Like,
I am just, that's what I say, grade A, triple A, stamped on my ass.
Like a witch is kind of like, everybody thinks, well, not everybody, but a lot of people think that Wiccans are witches, and I never thought that. Because when you meet a real witch, you're like, yeah, there's a big difference here,
Yeah. There's Wiccans in the New Age movement came out of the whole spiritual stuff from the turn of the last century, late 1800s, 1900s, started to inform that movement. And I always had a knee-jerk response to it. It's not my thing. I know lots of wonderful, amazing Wiccans, but it's not my thing at all. And they feel different. They're definitely not my tribe.
So I'm just dropping your Instagram pictures, by the way, in the Fringe FM chat, and there's a picture in here. Do you let people, this is your home, right? Do you let people just come on in, right? Come into the house? Because there's some stuff in here, man, that's pretty freaky. Like these dolls you got in the corner. Like I can't tell if that's you standing in the corner or a mannequin, I don't know.
I can't see what you're doing. So, that's my house. That's where I live. And I have I like old things. This is another aspect that doesn't get talked about a lot. So I'm also inspired by old things that have a patina. And so that, antiques, I like the feel of them. I like antique houses. There's energy that happens over time that we call patina on wood, on objects. You can feel it. It's tangible. You can't paint it on. It's not faux. You can't faux it.
You call it patina?
So,
did I say that right?
It's a technical term. Patina is what happens on things when they age. And in the faux movement and like the artist faux movement with like redoing furniture and stuff, you can buy something called patina to make your stuff look aged. But you can't get the vibe unless it's moved through the apparent space-time continuum. And so I don't restore. I like things in decay. I'm very Addams Family, I suppose.
Yeah.
And yes, I have lots of dolls, Joe. Lots of antique.
Everything's cool to me.
Antique dolls
in your house. Everything's cool to me. Honestly,
Does it look cozy? It's really cozy in here.
It's cozy, but I like that kind of look. But it's the dolls that freak me out. Honestly, the porcelain dolls. I mean, those things are just damn scary. No,
the porcelain dolls are not scary compared to all my wax dolls. The wax dolls are really the ones that scare people.
What?
And I have some from the 1700s. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you definitely, if somebody walked into your house, they'd be like, yeah, this is definitely a witch's house for sure,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's no doubt. Very few people are invited in, though. You're always invited in.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd see. That's the thing. Is everything cool? Like the energy. You got to teach me about this patina and energy stuff. I don't know anything about all that. I know about energy. as ceremonial magic, I'm pretty, I guess, normal at that. But it seems like you're advanced in a lot of ways that I'm not, for sure. Definitely.
Well, I don't know about advanced, but I have a different path. But I'll hold your hand.
Yeah, make sure that I don't touch anything, because there's these, and I'm trying to drop as many. What I did was I went and looked for that knife that you were talking about on Instagram, and I just started seeing all these pictures.
A video.
But somebody's damn. We got to take a break, but somebody's definitely messing with you out there, man, and you don't seem quite worried about it at all. I got this feeling that you've done something.
I've got powerful people around me.
Do you? Neighbors and stuff, people that like you out there?
Well, Montana Jordan and Solaris Blue Raven for two. I mean, those are some powerful women backing me up. All
y'all live up there in Portland. Like it seems like all the cool people live in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm just stuck down here in Arkansas, Sucks.
Well, Solaris is down in the Southwest, but she knows energy and has sent a powerful force field.
Really? Okay. Well,
speaking of where you live, there's lots of witchery down there.
Oh, yeah, I know, for sure.
We'll talk about that on the other side.
Yeah, on the other side. Yeah, we got to take a break. Thank you, because I'm getting carried away with this stuff. All right, we'll be right back with Niish. You guys don't go anywhere.
This is Corbin, son of the one and only Joe Root, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Did you know that qualified patients can access medical cannabis in all 50 states? CannaSense is a medical cannabis collective that helps patients in all 50 states gain access to cannabis medication. CannaSense does this with a streamlined process and strict compliance with the Compassionate Use Act of 1996, the Affordable Care Act, and the U.S. Constitution. It is important for each patient to understand the legalities involved, the costs, and the benefits of cannabis medication. Through truth, legalization, and education, the medical benefits of cannabis will supplant recreational perceptions, and the real vision for change will be realized. Let the people and their personal doctors take control of their medical cannabis decisions before the greed of big business takes over. The tipping point for change is today, and CannaSense is ready to lead the charge and enable legal access for all qualified patients to medical cannabis through its proven system. For more information, go to thefringe.fm/care or click the banner on the website today.
I think by now we can get the information.
I love magic, and on Lighting the Void, each and every week, you will get to hear shows about magic, mysticism, and many other subjects that stretch your mind and imagination. So when I got my mind on the magic and the magic on my mind, I listened to Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM. It's magic.
May the gods look with favor upon you.
You're wondering what we're going to do to you, aren't you?
Come, walk through the mossy creek and up the hill. Never mind the flashing lights and otherworldly shadows. They stay hidden within the trees. Come, step up to the shack and begin your journey to the answers that you seek. This is Lady Anne, and you are listening to Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM.
Okay, here we go. AncientLifeOil.com. AncientLifeOil.com. Now, this is for CBD. AncientLifeOil.com. Again, for CBD. Where do I get CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. It's pretty good stuff. Organic, non-GMO. We are the Ferrari of CBDs. AncientLifeOil.com. You know, they say when you mention a person's name 3 times when you first meet, that you're going to remember. So I'd say to you, nice to meet you, AncientLifeOil.com. It's AncientLifeOil.com, right? Nice to know that you help people. AncientLifeOil.com. Think about this. Occasional stress, occasional anxiety, occasional inflammation, occasional stiffness, and intruders that get you down. AncientLifeOil.com. Okay, so I'm going to give you a fact for the day. So Ancient Life Oil does not help you with business deals. Hold on a second. If you feel better, it could help you make a better decision. Okay, I'm wrong. Just remember to go to ancientlifeoil.com.
Looking for things that go bump in the night? I am Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange Radio, reminding you to tune in to The Fringe FM this Halloween season and listen to all things paranormal, supernatural, and downright scary. Join the Fringe FM Discord channel and chat live with your favorite host and Fringe friends. Whether it's All Hallows Eve, Dia de los Muertos, or Sam Hain, it's gonna get spooky up in here. So scream your heads off with the Fringe FM. Stay strange.
In the year 2018, this station produced one of the most terrifying tales ever broadcast on radio. Bigfoot Speaks, Interview with the Sasquatch. This year, we bring you an even more terrifying tale to send chills down your spine. Scary, scary. One night only, October the 31st. Be there if you dare.
Alright everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, me old China plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Light in the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your north and south and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you beat a Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
To call Joe, pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada.
Back on air, yeah, we're back on air. So, God, there's so many things you got to do at once when you're doing a radio show. Hit this button, hit that button. We're back here with Niish. I'm Joe. This is Lighting the Void. Thank you for joining us tonight. And before the break, we were talking about all the different, magical practices that you do. Like, I'm looking at some of these pictures too, Niish, and you seem to be pretty well versed in some of this stuff. So, would you say that you're well versed in like astrology, tarot, the Hebrew language? Which one, or not the language, but the alphabet? What kind of base do you have that you think you could say, yeah, I'm pretty much know my stuff when it comes to that?
Well, this is one of the things with me is I like to always stay in the student seat. And so you're never going to hear me say I'm an adept, even though I have reached the title of adept in a couple magical organizations I've been involved in. I do not feel that that's a place one should get settled in. And I personally prefer to stay in the learner's seat. So I've been doing astrology a very long time, and I'm continually learning, especially when it comes to synthesis of material. As you know, in the tarot, I was a professional reader for a long time, and that too, it was you're constantly learning new ways to read. Your relationship with all the elements in tarot shift as time goes by. The narratives change, the culture changes, and so hopefully one can expand rather than contract or get frigid or fickle. And at this point, by the way, with astrology and tarot, I don't do readings anymore. So I just want to put that out there. I I got drained. I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. I do them for friends, and I do them for free for friends when I want. I never did them for I never charged a certain amount of money for any of that either, I should say. I always took donations. I felt that was the way to go. And so some people call that a sliding scale, but I mean, if you didn't feel you got anything, I didn't want to take the money, period. So I have always worked that way with the magical arts, and I feel that that's the honest way to work. And it's definitely the school I came out of with these particular arts. There's a bone of contention I have with the current state of a culture as far as how people are making money and the kinds of money they're making and these paywalls, that it's just not sitting well with me. And I think it's taking everything back. It's taking everything back. Yes, you deserve to make money for your time, but I think people are very generous when you allow them to be generous. So if someone doesn't get anything out of what you're doing, it's, they're going to speak poorly of you, especially if they paid. So I'd rather them not pay and move on.
Yeah.
So at this point, that's
but
why
as a witch, wouldn't you like not? I mean, don't you kind of want people to speak poorly of you a little bit, just a little? Like, you know what I'm saying? Not like, like witches get that, and they have that traditional like evil, like don't go around her type of thing, isn't that whatever?
Oh well, yeah, I like a good respect. I like a film of respect around me. Listen, I'm not trying to mess with anyone. I'm not trying to mess with anyone's man. I'm not trying to mess with anyone's territory. At this point in my life, Joe,
you're smarter
I like
than that,
peace.
right?
Yeah, I've never been a person that enjoyed drama and getting into those kinds of things. I'm an observer in the end in this life, and that's part of the witch's journey for me too. And this is one of the things that I speak about a lot, is the solitary path, because in the end, this is what it's about. It's about you, the individual, and that whole know thyself thing's a very important concept to grasp and understand and get into. Work on yourself, and the more you work on yourself, the more you pull your projections in from the outer world. So for example, in my younger days, if I would have been jealous of someone that was after, a guy I was into, and I thought they held power. Well, my shadow content would be all over that person. And I would cut that person down, maybe not externally with words, but internally. I'd be like, oh, well, look at her, blah, 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 to myself. And that's a sign that your shadow is on that person. And so I'm seeing what I hate in myself projected onto that person. Therefore, I'm giving that person more power, which then gives them an in towards what I don't want to lose, and could backfire. You could end up losing that thing that you covet, that man that you want, So work on yourself. The outer world to me is a projection of everything going on internally. And I always say this, Joe, always. If you want to know how a person's magic is working, look at their personal life. Because if this is a wizard or a magician or a cultist, and they're telling you all this stuff, all this wonderful stuff and pontificating, and you look and you see that they have a terrible life, there's drama filled, they're, living in the basement at mom's or whatever.
Or living in a shack on a hill. Yeah. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea of a shack on the hill, by the way. Very witchy.
Yeah.
But just look into their lives and you can see how the magic's working for them. Do they really hold juice or not? There's a lot of people out there that are magicians. They say they're magicians, but they are not magicians.
Yeah, I believe that too, because it's like, I totally believe that. People could talk to me about magic all the time, and then they ask me what books to get, and I'm like, you don't. Even like Jason Miller and a lot of the Gordon White, like all of these people, they're past all the I guess you could say the structured initiatic path, but still, yet they still have a good foundation and a base to what they're doing. You know, it's not like I don't know if they just jumped head first in, but.
Well, it's good too. I'm a book nerd, and I have a very respectable occult library. Not, it's not it's respectable. And when I say that, I mean that. It's not the best ever, but it's definitely a very nice and accomplished library with some rare gems. And then, of course, I'm a book nerd, so I like to get all the good stuff that's coming out from some of these great publishing houses now that have happened in my life, and that is wonderful for this pop boom in the occult. It's the upside for me is that so many of these tomes are now available that were not available before, and they're available in beautiful, fine editions and bound beautifully, letterpress, some of them. So I do think we should always look back and see where we've come from. We need to learn the past to move forward. And you should know what you're talking about. You should understand when someone says goetic. You should, if you're going to be out there pontificating about this stuff, you should at least intellectually understand it. And then it's good to experiment. I wouldn't be a true witch if I hadn't experimented and hadn't gotten into orders and been on a journey and made mistakes. I just don't like making mistakes with demons and stuff like that. I choose not to do those kinds of workings.
Well, I totally respect that. I do.
Listen, if you summon
But you're saying you've never summoned a demon, like you've never summoned a spirit?
No, I have done goetic work. Yes, I have. I have, and I've been in groups that do that. However, it's just not something I'm comfortable with. I came to this idea in a meditation one time and it was a scary meditation. This is great for an October night. I was doing a working, summoning a certain something from somewhere, and
what did you summon?
I'm going to leave that private. However, but the dream later was, and I did everything appropriate. I did everything to the T, and I mean everything. And so, and it all went fine. And who knows until later? And this is where the dream comes in. So I had this experience in the dreamscape with that entity, and the entity said to me that this, at some point you will be on equal ground with me. Like there was this idea of the material plane and the avatar or sleeve that we're in as a form of detachment in some ways, a form of feeling safe. And also there's a sense of grandeur for people that are in their avatars, in their bodies, to draw the circle, get the triangle out, call the demon into the triangle, and command it to do, your will. And this thing said in my dream, you will be on equal ground with me at some point. And I don't know if this was dream content. I don't know if this was a lucid experience. I mean, it felt lucid, but I don't know if this was my unconscious. I mean, I'm putting it this way. I don't know if this was my unconscious trying to parse this out or not. It felt very much like I was having a real interaction. So I'm going to lay that out. And that idea, that concept of being summoned from what you're doing by some wizard somewhere, thrown into basically a cage, and then commanded to do his will or her will or its will, and in return for whatever the paper is telling you, it telling them what you want. Some want whiskey, some want, there's just a whole, it depends on the demon. And then casting them away to do their bidding. And so I started to play with that idea, Joe. This doesn't seem very friendly. So I don't like being commanded in my daily life. So imagine a stranger, and then you get into their presence, say as an entity, you're the entity, and you're looking around and you're going, okay, I will get you when you're not in that circle. And so I put myself in the demon's position, and now I don't do that stuff. So I know a lot of people that do, and I respect them and all that. It's just not my thing anymore. I moved past it.
Well, the thing about Solomonic magic is, if you actually read the stories of Solomon, he wasn't cutting deals with these demons. He was binding them. That's all he was doing.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's still this idea, though.
They made new books. How about that?
There's a bunch. Everything kind of in the end is essentially channeled. If you go back, even the Jesus stuff is, it's just, it's all kind of, when I went back far enough and was looking at the manuscripts and all this, there's a real iffy origin stories around so much stuff, but I love all of it. I just made these choices for myself. So binding and all of that is not my natural flow. I'm a love child baby. And so Venus is the ruler of my sun. And, I'd rather focus on things that I don't need to call spirits in to grant me. That being said, planetary energies are spirits, they're entities, and they're also ruled by archangels and stuff. So like Jupiter, Sachiel and all that. So you do, like when you're calling in Jupiter, you're calling in Sachiel. And I work with the friendlier stuff. I like the beauty, and I like stuff that's helping me ascend on my path ultimately. However, I'm not afraid to do something nasty to protect myself. I'm not going to lay there and be taken advantage of. And also, but I'm not one that's I don't know. It's hard. It's a case by case. Let me put it that way. Everything's case by case in the world.
Yeah, you're right. Everything is case by case. I'm thinking that this too. Like when we do shows, they're kind of going in a certain direction. When I do a show with you, but it's scattered all over the place. And I'll tell you why. I can't get a read on you. When I'm looking at all this stuff on you, I just can't get a read on you. You're not worried about the people leaving knives in their woods. You're not worried about creeps saying, "Oh, you're gorgeous," and stealing stuff out of your yard.
Yeah.
You would seem like the type of person that would be doing kind of witchy little, baneful spells based on the pictures that I'm seeing, right? But
yeah,
I can definitely see the flower child in the hair too. So yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Everything's warded. I'm warded. I'm well warded. And, I do all that. I protect myself, but I'm not out attacking. And I refuse to get into a situation where there's drama. I don't play it on a spiritual level. I don't play it on a personal level. I don't like to fight. I don't want to be around any of that. And again, as I was saying, I think our outer worlds are a snapshot, especially if you're looking in on someone, of what's going on internally. So I really love peace and harmony. I just, and comfort and beauty and art. And those are the things that I want in my life. I happen to love a dark platonic, I love the look of old things and the dark aesthetic. And that's part of the beautiful side of witchery for me too. It's alluring to me. I love the feel of dark and what's considered dark and scary. It makes me feel, I like to feel witchy, Joe. But I'm definitely seeking harmony and love and peace and abundance and comfort. Who doesn't want those things? Sensuality. These things attract me.
Yeah, right. And so, and we're moving into the Scorpio season. So like this is, I think, is a good time to embrace your dark side. And when I say embrace it though, I don't mean go out and, hunt people and kill them and not like the Purge, but I just think it's cool to kind of, it's a good time to look in the mirror and say, hey, yeah, I got this darkness about me and it's okay. It's not okay to act on it, but it's okay that it's there.
I do a lot of necromantium work, and this is old school. This is like, Hellenistic. This is old school, back Pythia, the Sibyls. So it's basically getting into as dark of a space as possible. It was traditionally done in the caves, and incense and a scrying device and a candle. So I do a lot of that. For me, that it doesn't get darker than doing that kind of work, because what are you looking? You're looking into the void, and that void, whether it's you, whether it's the ether, whatever the void is, you're looking into it and it's looking back at you, that old cliche. That's the dark work. That is some serious dark work. And that's not for the weak. That's not for the lighthearted. I like the dark wood. I like, I have been around death my entire life, so I do a lot of work around death. I do lots of what I consider dark work. I don't consider going around cursing people and hexing people and banishing people and binding people dark work. I consider that, for the most part, foolish work. That's just my opinion. But I don't get myself into those situations where I need to do that. And yes, they do come up. These situations are called for, but it shouldn't be your normal. It should not be your normal. If that's your normal, you need to look at what is going on with you. That's your normal, because this is not stable. This is not mentally stable. So these things need to be ironed out, this idea of darkness. I think everything I do is dark, but in that, I'm finding a deeper sense of myself, and I'm learning more about myself through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I get it. Does. It makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of people need to take that attitude when it comes to things, because I know for a fact there's a lot of dabblers out there trying to do bad things, play certain games, doing their little thread spells at 3:00 in the morning, trying to mess with people's lives. Mm-hmm. Shame on you.
Right.
You know what?
Yeah. I mean, in the end, you're manipulating yourself.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, this is what I want to do, because we do have to take a break, but I do want to ask you, like, what your experience has been when people actually do that. You know what I mean? Like when people do.
Oh yeah, I've got some good examples.
Yeah, because everybody's like, well, there's
good examples.
There's no, if you do it right, you're not going to get any karma come back on you. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know about all that. I think it's kind of hard to avoid. But we'll ask somebody that's had a little bit more experience with that than me, because I don't do that stuff neither. But at least I'm sure you've heard some stories, right? We'll be right back with Niish. Also, we're going to get into some stories too, I promise you. I'm sure Niish has got one up her sleeve. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
I'm Clyde Lewis. There's nothing more terrifying than the witching hour.
I'm J.D. Lewis. What would Halloween be without a ghost hunt?
I'm Jeremy Scott. When the lights go down, the strange comes alive.
I'm Ron Patton. Ghost hunting? You didn't tell me there would be ghosts.
Ron, are you afraid of ghosts?
I much prefer spirits.
I guess we're leaving Ron at the bar.
Join us on the Fringe FM Ghost Hunt.
Live this Sunday at midnight Pacific until 3:33 in the morning.
Or 666 if you prefer.
Only on the Fringe FM.
This is Crow 777, and you are listening to the Fringe FM.
I'm Clyde Lewis. You are listening to the Fringe FM.
Get the Tea is the #1 cleansing tea in America. We cleanse you with organic ingredients, and when used daily, you can increase your energy. Cleanse from intruders that set up camp in your colon. Cleanse your colon and feel the difference. Colon cleanses can be uncomfortable. Not Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea is mild yet truly effective. Cleanse your insides every day. Easy to make, easy to use, and feel the results. Are you sold? Okay, then here's how to order. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Look for our specials on the front page. Get the Tea also carries top-rated supplements for those who care about their health, naturally. Again, log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com and feel the results. And for those of you that arm yourself with information, come to our webinar every other Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's every other Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific. You can sign up at GetTheTea.com.
I'm Ryan Gable, and I want to remind you to keep your radio, phone, tablet, or computer tuned to the Fringe FM, and visit the website thefringe.fm to listen to the entire lineup of shows. You can also catch my broadcast, The Secret Teachings, Monday through Friday, beginning at 12 a.m. midnight U.S. Pacific Time, right here on the Fringe FM.
This is Dan Lopez with Spiritual Warrior Today Radio, and when I'm battling demons, I listen to Lighting the Void with my man Joe Root right here on thefringe.fm.
And you're listening to The Fringe FM.
OMG! People are jumping on board to the Life Change Tea Regiment. Brew, steep, and drink for a gentle, taste-great cleanse. It's changing how they feel. See what everybody's talking about. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea aids in digestive slowdown and helps people get moving down a healthy path. We won't make claims. We'll just let you decide. Experience is much better than a commercial anyway. If you want results, log on to GetTheTea.com and purchase your super strength cleansing tea. You won't be disappointed. And if you're looking for some mind-body suggestions, go to YouTube and punch in the search bar Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Put power into your health now. So, GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com for super strength tea. And YouTube, Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now for valuable suggestions. GetTheTea.com. The tea that makes you go.
This is Reverend John M. Polk. Please visit me at johnpolkmedia.com and visit my show, Quantum Hologram Matrix, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, every Tuesday on thefringe.fm.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Yeah, Niish from Nox Mente is here with us. Hey, Niish, do you still do the Obelisk, by the way, or is that over with now? Because I know you used to do that show, too.
No.
You still do that?
It actually is new. Yeah, so it'll be on the 4th episode this coming full moon.
Okay.
And we've added this last one. We added Dan from the Cosmic Keys. I'm rotating astrologers at the very beginning, and so this last episode, Dan from Cosmic Keys was on, and we have a giveaway for a reading from him that we'll announce on the next show, which it's the week of the full moon. So whatever the Wednesday falls, wherever that falls, and love the concept. So we're still doing it.
All
it's
right.
Great fun, Joe.
It is fun. Anytime you do radio is fun, in my opinion. Podcasting, radio, it's fun. All right. So
I love it.
I want to talk about this. I want to talk about baneful magic. When people do like spells on other folks, like love spells, jealous spells, breakup spells. God, what are some of them I've seen? Where they target specific people.
Oh yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, like really shady stuff.
There's stuff called put things in you, and when we start mixing traditions like folk magic into stuff is where it really gets juicy. I think the folk magic, the stuff that falls in that realm, is the juiciest stuff. Way over the ceremonial stuff any old day. And this is stuff I was brought up on, from the grandmothers, and it was honest and pure. It was just, it wasn't thought of as witchy. It was just the folk ways. And so there's a lot that can go on in these realms where, to the point where I don't eat food from people. I don't eat cookies, and I'm real weird about gifts of food from people that are absolutely 100% I'm sure about. So anyone that's kind of new in my life, or when I had an office job, I was always so cautious because I'm aware of how this goes. So that's where the real juicy stuff is. That's where you see, the cow tongues come out and needles come out, and, hot footing comes out. So a lot of this has been brought into popular culture in the last 20, 30 years, through the Hoodoo network, that is specifically American, and that, a lot of Native American, African, Cuban, it's a mix of lowlands, the lowlands magic from different cultures that blended in to create this beautiful, really truly American folk magic known as hoodoo. And having Sac, an Indian tribe in Iowa that my mother's from, and Sicilian, we're all a mix. So I have a good mix of cultures in me, and different grandmothers bringing different things to the table. I learned some real baneful stuff. So
can they get away with it? Can they do it and get away with it? Where nothing happens to them?
I'm like stumbling wanting to talk about some of this stuff. Women commonly will put menstrual blood in stuff to get a man. to draw a man in, a particular man, or if we're going baneful, we can start getting, and I'm just talking food right now. You can get feces cooked into stuff where it's not going to affect you because it's cooked, it's baked in, but magically you can imagine the idea of it. And then of course it's baked in not only with these nasty ingredients or very personal ingredients, it's baked in with intent as well. And most all magic forms, a major component is intent. The will above all is paramount. And so, yeah, there's a lot of controlling magic out there. And the thing that I learned early on, though, especially with people doing love workings, I have never had to do love workings, but I have done love work. I've worked for people in the past, in my earlier days when I ran a temple. And I really stayed on the love side of stuff. You're gifted with certain arts, I think. You should know them all. But I was always good at bringing people together, and also mercurial stuff, Venus stuff, that kind of stuff. But I have had to do some Pluto and Saturnian stuff, and I've definitely had my girls working around the kitchen table with me. One time we had to take care of a certain person that was obsessed with one of our sisters, and he was a magician.
Obsessed? You mean like stalkishly obsessed?
Yes, and since he was a magician, it goes without saying that he was doing his own workings, and so we found our way to getting us a cow tongue. Some black thread, upholstery thread, and
where'd you get the cow tongue from? Tell me it with the supermarket.
Oh, you can get it at the market.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely. You can buy whole goat heads and cow heads and all that stuff at the market. And if it's not out, you always just ask the butcher. The it's always there. So we've had to you stitch in the herbs, and you get the you cast the compass, and the blood acre, you cast your circle, all this. You call in the elements, however you want to do it, whatever your practice is, but it's basically the four quarters or the gates of the avatar, the fixed signs in the zodiac. And so you're in your working space, and then you charge up your herb spirits that you're going to use if they're baneful, monk's hood and belladonna root, just there's so many things, thorns, from hawthorns or black thorns or thorny thorns, and you make
y'all writing this down.
But this is nothing specific right here. I'm just giving ideas.
Sure. So,
and then you can get old rusty nails and all this stuff that makes logical sense, right? And so when you're working with something like, say, a cow tongue, to not only shut someone up, a tongue is classically used to shut someone up, and it's used a lot of times in like the drama gossip stuff. But there was another angle with this particular person where we needed to use the tongue along with a lot of other baneful things, and we didn't want to kill him. It wasn't like that. We just wanted him to forget and move on, and also stop talking, because he was spreading a lot of crap he was spreading untruths about one of our sisters, about stuff that he had done with her. And so that was why we had the tongue. And, you sew it all up in there. You wax it. You dance around it, which is charging it, raising a cone of power, whatever you want to call it. You charge it. And this is all done with a certain lunation. So we're doing this in the waxing of the moon, and planetary hours are important. And so dealing with that, and then you deal with the charged materia you have. So, for example, that we buried in an appropriate spot, but we could have put it in a jar. We could have put it on ice. We could have thrown it backwards in the river. We could have taken it to the graveyard. We could have buried it under the sacred walnut tree, which is more death right, like doing in the graveyard. We did. I don't want to give away the specifics of that. I don't want taking notes from that period. From that period, I'm giving you general ideas of how that works. So that's one form. But this controlling stuff. So love spells, and here's my cautionary tale with love spells. And I always, when I was working for people, and again, I took donations. If someone didn't want to give, then they didn't, if that's what they felt. And I didn't take it hard or bad either way. It was, if this works, it works, then pay me appropriately. And that could be in trade too. It could be at the temple, we got anonymous stuff on the porch, much like the knife that landed here, but I'm not running a temple. I'm not running an organization here. And so love spells, cautionary tale with all spell work is, one of the key things in spell work is to do the work and forget it. This is like 101. Do the work and forget it. Otherwise, you can create this wave of obsession, especially in love spells. You want to get it out of your system, throw your intent out, and then let it go. Let your unconscious work on it. Go and continue your world as normal and just leave it alone. If you've made a talisman, it needs to be fed, and by feeding, some things need like different things. So like a love spell you might feed it rose water, every once in a while, or sugar it if you're doing a sugar jar, or there's different ways to feed it. And the point of feeding is to give it new energy, but on specific times, at specific times, and not all the time. Because this all the time situation, focusing on things in the outer world that you're trying to control, just backfires and upset. You can see it with obsessive love. And this is what I talk about in general with spellcraft. You don't have to be a witch or a practicing magician or a wizard. You don't have to be any of these things to actually be doing this naturally. A thought is a spell. A thought is an action. It becomes an action. It becomes a wave. You emanate it at some point. And so a lot of passive people, people passively curse each other, and they passively love bomb each other without realizing they're doing it. And so for me, there's not a big line of who's a witch and who isn't. Jody down there at the Lutheran church, who doesn't like me, non-existent Jody, non-existent Lutheran church, but this, person may not like me, and every time they see me, bless their hearts, they're thinking, oh, look at her, judging me. That's a curse. That's a form of an intent that's got a thought form behind it. What in particular, something like that would be a negative thought form. Well, that creates a causality, and so there's a lot of talk about karma, and karma, is an Eastern idea. It's an Eastern thought practice. And so it's just as easy to talk about causalities and waves in a pond as well. And so again, this is why I stopped doing work for people in the outer world. It became apparent to me that I don't want to mix myself with others in this way, even though I was really known for doing love stuff and money stuff for others, and lucky stuff, beauty, luck.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that.
If I had to protect a sister, I would, and I get dark and witchy, and I will protect a sister, and I will get down in the dirt and I will get dirty. So I don't want everyone to think I've got flowers in my hair. I will be Hecate if I need to be. I will come and devour you. And so, but I don't want to get in that mode. And this is where restraint and understanding self comes in. You will get in that mode, Joe, if someone comes and attacks someone you love, but you won't do it in the same way that I would, but it still qualifies as that kind of energy, right? You know, if someone hurts someone you love, you're not going to stand for it, are you?
No, and I don't stand for it, and I've already had it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So this does not need to fall on the heels of magic and witches and occultists. This falls on everyone's doorstep at one point or another. It's how we react. It's how we respond. And then some of us understand the world underneath the world, the energetic world, and the ethers that we are swimming in, and can manipulate those waters. And then it goes to a deeper level when we start talking about hag writing, or this is Dreamwork, right? And this is always of interest to me as someone who has studied dreams a very long time and made a big point in listening to dreams. I'm always listening for those kinds of cues. And one of the things I'm into with possession as well, we can empower, if you can get lucid, you can go and cause a lot of trouble in someone's life etherically. And these are some masterful magicians, and they're out there and they exist. You know, we can do anything our will, you know, that we put our will to with practice. So there are a lot of layers here, and it's the people that are the unconscious people that I personally find the most scary. The ones that don't realize that that they have a gun and they're shooting it psychically. Yeah. Those are the ones where you're like, oh man, what's this, you know, this hate from this person, this little lady at the church hates me. You know, those people can be very, very effective.
Yeah. See, that's the thing too. Like, I don't, see the point in it. There's some really messed up people out there. Like, here's what they'll do. They'll cast something on somebody or a couple or something, or your kid or something. And then they'll go to your nearest occultist that's closest to the family and say, look, I think they did that to you. You see?
Yes. Yeah. This is the evil eye.
There's a whole lot of crazy games that happen. And the only thing is how do you know, though? How do you tell if somebody's attacking you? Is there a way that you know?
Yes. And this is another reason why working on yourself is a very important thing. For a lot of people getting into the occult and the mysteries, this, you know, so many get in because it's either there's a sex appeal to it. To me, at least, it's sexy. And so as a Venusian type person, that qualifies. Like, I always go that direction. I love that feel. But this leads people in, it draws people in, and sometimes they get sidetracked on doing the work on themselves, wanting to do all this outer world stuff. Well, if you do the work internally, and this is where initiatic systems, I think, are so important. And so, whereas I'm not involved in any of that anymore, but I certainly have been, and they serve a purpose, and I think they serve an important purpose. So initiatic stuff's important because you have to do the work to move through the layers, to move through the mysteries. There's a journey here, and much like the journey of the Fool in the tarot, and it's good to have guides, people to show you the ropes. So I'm a big fan of that. And in the covens I've run, initiations were very important as well. Not only the more hermetic stuff I've been involved in, and they're just totally different animals. So knowing yourself is a big deal. It's a cliche, but when you are in tune with the systems of your body, when you're in tune with your psychic systems, with your nervous system, with your endocrine system, with everything, you are in a good place to understand when waves of energy are coming at you. You can feel it when a sickness comes on, and it's, there's a certain energy when ill will, and I'm speaking of ill will in the folk tradition, like the evil eye, the ill will from folkish tradition, where someone's doing some work on you, someone's throwing some herbs on you, and you start to have bad luck out of nowhere. You start to get sick out of nowhere for no reason. Things start you skipping steps, slurring. This is a sign, once you do all the checkpoints within yourself, of course you deduce, right? Was I around anyone that was physically sick? Has anyone been sick around me? Did I get into this? Did I eat something bad? All this stuff. And you can get down to the energetic and the auric. You can sense what's going on, that you're under attack. And so I do think this is more of an adept level when we're talking about that kind of stuff, because it's hard for the common person to understand what's what in these ways. But I can, as a longtime practitioner of magical arts, and I include learning Chinese medicines and Ayurvedic stuff. Those are, to me, magical arts as well. Where I can look at someone's skin and go, I can look and see if you're having liver problems by where you're carrying your weight, or what the skin looks like under your eyes, or if I get a really good shot at your tongue, I can see what's going on with your physical body. And so it's also the same in the auric field. There is, for a long time, I'd see people with this, I've always seen it in the aura. And because I came from people that said it wasn't nonsense and that it was valid and that understood what that was, I didn't get indoctrinated out of that. So I owe this as a debt of gratitude to the women before me. However, I would see, this is a good example, I would see people that would have their auras look like they had holes in them, like Swiss cheese. And I couldn't, and with a certain color and a certain vibration, there's a combination here, but I never could understand what that was. And they always seem to be, there's certain types of people. And as I grew up and I got older and I started to learn about sexual interactions and unhealthy sexual interactions, I started to actually see that this particular look and feel was a person that was having a lot of casual sex. Nothing, it was just meaningless one night stands here and there, or, habitual relationships that were 3 weeks long or 2 months, and it started to, it created these erosions, I guess. And so that's just an example and I had to learn that by observation and it coming in close contact to knowing people that was oh, okay, well, that's Sally. She's having sex. She has sex 3 times a week, different people. No wonder. And, these things were trial and error, learning how to.
Nobody's got any scruples anymore. You know what scruples are?
Well, yes, I love that term. It's old school.
It is old school. Everybody laughs at me when I use it.
But Joe, that's what I'm saying, though. These things are you learn these through experience, like anything else. You get in the field of humanity, and you start with open eyes, looking around and applying the stuff you've learned through reading and self-exploration, and it all just starts to come in to play. It's a lot of work. Trust me. It's a lot of work. There's no add water and stir witchcraft or occult. We're in a time where it's add water and stir occultism everywhere. And it's one of those things that just is, it's unsettling to me. There's this add water and stir, insta witch, insta occultist, and where it's just surface levels to look. And that it's skin deep, literally. It's actually not even that. It's costume deep, baby.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's like a Halloween costume.
Well, I am getting some texting questions here too. Look, and if you guys got any questions for Niish, you can call in too. It's 1-800-588-0335. I can tell you for a fact, like on this show, sometimes people will say stuff on this show they normally wouldn't say on other shows. If you don't believe me, go back in the archives. And I'm always going to push for that. I want genuine authenticity at its best. Yeah. No script here, unscripted.
Yes.
Live Lighting the Void with Niish. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast. Need another late night fix? You can tune in every weeknight to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop on The Fringe FM.
Hi, this is David Oman with HouseAtTheEndOfTheDrive.com. You're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
I like to listen to Lighting the Void because of the guests, the content, and the host, Joe Roop. He's smart, he's intelligent, and he seems to ask the questions that we all have on our mind. We're all searching for the truth, and Joe helps us get closer to it. I love this show. I love this show. I love this show. Lighting the Void.
What's up, Joe? Hey, man, I just wanted to say your show, dude, keeps getting better and better and better. I love Lighting the Void and The Fringe FM.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast where we tell real paranormal experiences of people from around the world. And we also conduct interviews with authors, investigators, psychics, and mediums. Real people, real stories, real fear. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on The Fringe FM. See you then.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right, construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check, but there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you're interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
Do
you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of The Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
In the year 2018, this station produced one of the most terrifying tales ever broadcast on radio. Bigfoot Speaks, Interview with the Sasquatch. This year, we bring you an even more terrifying tale to send chills down your spine. Scary, scary. One night only, October the 31st. Be there if you dare.
Hello, this is Vance Nesbitt. Take the time to expand your mind by listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop right here on the Fringe FM.
Alex X.
Hi, I'm Alex Exum, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
You can also call 501-424-5130 is the other call-in number, is the direct line here. We're here with Niish, 2 eyes. You know, I'm sure people want to know how you got that name. How did you get that name? I've never asked you that before. Is that one of your secrets that you can't tell as well?
Oh, no, it's the middle part of my first name, and it's been a long-term nickname. My Momo used to call me it, and my Momo had like 4 different names for me, like Deanie, like there's so many. But it's the easiest. And when I say my first name, it's just so much easier in life. And I like to play on it too. Niish. I like the way it sounds, and it's short and simple. So I just landed on it as far as using it in public like I do. And everyone calls me that. I mean, I even used it when I had an office job. So I guess the answer is for ease.
Yeah, well, that's why everybody calls me Roop. That's why I shortened my name from Joseph to Joe, because I got tired of being called Roop, you know.
Yes.
Joe is fine. That's fine. So I've
always loved the name Joe, though. Hello, Joe.
It's easy, right? It's a good, strong American name, right? Simple.
It is so American, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how, out of all this stuff that you've done, the witchcraft, I know you've done experimentation, obviously, because we've talked about it already. Was there ever a moment that you were ever scared enough? Did this stuff ever scare you enough to where you're like, you know what? I don't know if I need to be messing with this stuff at all. Like, did you ever have that kind of experience?
I've had some crazy experiences that this stuff's real. And that's the thing. I think that if people are messing around and they're not experiencing magic, I don't know what to say. It's real. It really works. And I have some very crazy stories. But one of the craziest.
Let's take this phone call first. Do you want to do that? Looks like let's take this phone call. Looks like we got 206 area code. You're on the air with Niish. Who are we speaking with?
Hello, this is David from Seattle. How's it going?
David. What's on your mind?
Hi, David.
Hey, well, I told you I should call tonight, right? So I figured I'd call and say hi.
Yes. David's my friend. I love David.
Oh, so that's cool.
He's started as a Nox Mente. He came through Nox Mente, but we met in person.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what's on your mind? Thanks for calling in, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, so I had this question about books. You know, I noticed you were posting about bibliomancy, and it kind of reminded me of some dreams that I had where I'm like speaking like a language I don't know, or reading in a book that's a language that I don't know. So I don't know. I'm just curious about if that's something you're familiar with, or if that ties in to anything that you've heard of.
I have, and I can't. It seems like we just had someone speaking at this on Nox Mente. However, what I'm curious about, and so I know some of your backstory is, did it feel at all like tongues?
No, actually the dream that I was speaking a different language, it was like I was making a declaration, like I knew what I was doing. Excuse me. And in that particular dream, it was more of it's almost like I was summoning something, which was interesting.
Ooh.
And the weird part for me about that was that I was speaking Old Persian. Well, I found this out later. I was speaking Old Persian, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell or what's going on. But yeah, I got this idea that I could like create a library in my lucid dreams, and then go like read books. If I'm like tapping into something like that, then I could try to access it in that way.
That's Joe, do you hear that? That's quite advanced. And it's also not something I've really encountered with other people talking about it. I know you're an advanced dreamer though, and working on dream yoga and all this stuff. So David's got a lot of muscle in this department.
Yeah, I think I know who he is too. So, yeah, I know who he is.
He's fantastic.
Joe knows who I am.
So we're in this dream. Were you how lucid were you, first of all?
That dream was super vivid. Actually, it was during a late morning nap, and it was like almost 3 years ago now. And I've tried to parse it out quite a bit since then, but it seemed kind of like an initiation dream, because I'll tell just a couple parts. I said Magush Dune, and Magush is like the Old Persian for magi or magician, and then Dune is a hill. And in the dream, there was a hill in front of me. And then I said another word, which is like it's kind of a more difficult to find proper translations for that. But basically, like there was I want to say like a priestess in like a purple robe, and took like this golden lightning from the hill and shot it at me and created like a golden Merkaba at my heart, and like I had a really crazy experience. It was like an initiation. The weird part about that was like she gave me a hug and said, now you have the same power as me, and I hate you for it, which was really interesting.
Oh,
but that
is almost like a curse.
Set off.
Wow.
Yeah. It seemed to set off a sequence of things. And then I had some really interesting experiences after that.
I wonder.
It's completely, I would take that as an initiation for sure. And with all initiations, not with all, but there's certainly a line of tradition with initiations that they are also a curse. And that's very, very old school, and it would fit right in with the Persian stuff. Yeah. So, what an amazing experience.
Yeah, it's like, why would she say, and I hate you for it, I was like, well, maybe she thinks I'm not ready for it or something like that, but that makes sense that it's also kind of carries that energy of a curse. Be careful what you wish for and all that.
Right, the bonds and the blessings. It's always you get both when you move through a new gate or a new level. It's both, and it's part of the territory we traverse moving forward. So, and we should have that kind of energy as we advance. I think it's so important. It also separates the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Move forward
because,
at your own will.
Yeah, the interesting part there, it kind of brings up a thought of like that experience was interesting in and of itself, but it makes a lot more sense looking back on it, where like at the time it was really I didn't know what was going on, and then like as I have more experiences and explore it and kind of flesh it out, then it starts to make a little bit more sense, where like if I didn't kind of follow that trail, that path, I wouldn't I might just pass it off and say whatever, but it took me a while to actually flesh out the experience and kind of figure out what was going on there. And just recently, it became fully formed, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense to me. And this is part of what's beautiful about the process is the mystery. It takes time to absorb or to pickle in all of this. This is why there's no Insta, really. And so, even that old school idea of philosophers really they're not philosophers until they hit 40 or 50 or there's some old school thought there. And I'm sure I'll get corrected somewhere.
I know the Kabbalists believe that. They won't even let you, or the kosher Kabbalists won't even let you study it till you get to a certain age.
Yeah. Well, and it makes a lot of sense because you have to have experience under your belt. And so this idea, though, it's a very mysterious and provocative thing, and I hate you for it, it's compelling, and you don't want to forget it, and you're not going to forget it when all the other imagery is fantastic, but then there's this exclamation mark on it, and so it burns itself into your third eye or into your mind's eye, and here you are 3 years later, and it's coming together. And how significant that it was 3 years ago, and now it's coming together for you.
Yeah.
Because it's really 3 years is an initiatic period. Another one.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
It starts out with a year and a day. It's not a year and a day and then a year and a day and then a year and a day. It's 1, 3, 6, 9, and on.
Like the Fibonacci sequence? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, there's the maths, and the math is always there.
Okay. Yeah, see, this is all trippy to me because I don't do a lot of dream work.
That's where we get into Mandelbrot. Well, the thing is, where does the dream end? And where does waking life begin, right? David, you know this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think if you fell into an open flame, you'd probably figure that out. Like just fall into a fire.
But in a real lucid dream, Joe, there's pain. Pain is pain, and you experience it too. It's a perception. Pain's a perception.
I don't know if I've ever experienced pain in a dream. Like maybe you got to get to a certain level. I don't know, because I've felt the impacts in dreams, but not like extreme pain. That's weird, but some people do, don't they?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think it's a matter of lucidity. So how awake one is within the dream. And then that, of course, you know, this stuff is also heady, but it's not in the end. It's not heady in the end at all, but we can get heady with it. But you can pull this idea into where you are now. I mean, even in the idea of first player role playing and all that, there's this idea of now connecting in your nerve endings, and where are we going to go from there? Because this is now another layer, and this is just in gaming talk of getting deeper into another reality. And so if we're looking at overlaying the idea of our apparent reality over the idea of dreaming within our apparent reality, it's very murky. And remember, pain is a perception. There are yogis that do things that are incredible, that they shut off pain sensors, and they can do incredible things. So, you know, it's
all
murky
in the
water,
mind,
Joe.
It's all in the mind, which is a very hermetic thing. It's all in the mind. We just don't know what the mind is yet, you know.
We might be the mind. I mean, that's what's so wonderful about these kinds of talks for me personally. If you can just let go, suspension of disbelief, and allow yourself just to wander with how fantastic the experience of everything is and intertwined all of it can be, just as an exercise, a mental exercise, it opens you up in a new way. It creates new neural pathways. And so when you go into something that feels tangible, like going to sleep after a hard day's work here, that neural pathway still, you've activated, you've opened, you've created it. And this can lead to a deeper sense of reality through dreaming, which then leads to a deeper sense of waking reality from dreaming.
I'm starting to I'm going cross-eyed here, actually. Now listen.
I know, I'm sorry.
Thanks for calling, David. I appreciate you calling in, man. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks for taking the call.
Nice
talking to you, Nish.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye-bye.
I can't see, like back in the day, honestly, before I started doing late night radio, like every single night, I had time to focus and relax and do these things. And I'm not saying I don't now. I'm not making excuses. It's just it seems like a pastime for me now. Even that, and I hate it. Even like the astral travel stuff, which is my favorite thing. I just zonk out anymore, you know? I really do.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You have to get in. There's like this certain amount of. I know, Joe. I know. And this is a situation. You have to get to that certain. You have to get to the REM, and there's just a lot that goes on. And sometimes I wonder if it's a defense mechanism. I don't know, but it does come in waves. So perhaps when. You know, I often wonder with anything in these realms if the uploads that we experience through whatever, through initiations in a dream, even by getting into a dream state, or through these in life, if it's just this stuff happens when you're ready. And no matter how we parse out what's going on, we're dead tired, so we don't dream. Maybe you're just not ready at this time. And I think that there's so much science going on, and science talk, and has been for a long time, about the idea of time and how we perceive it. So you have an opportunity every time you close your eyes. So if you're dead tired, you're getting into that particular type of sleep. I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
It's all like
I did have out of body experience, like the vibratory, you know, like ejected myself out of the body, saw my body, but I think I didn't go far after that. Maybe I was only ready to be shown that it was a real thing.
Were you in your room?
No.
What was this experience? So did you jump out of your body?
No, I didn't jump. No. I was on the couch, and I waited until I did the old trick where you set your alarm clock off, because you got to get in a super relaxed state first, right? And so I did the trick where you set your alarm clock off.
The alarm's a good trick.
Yeah, like 3:00 in the morning. I got up, drank just a little bit of water, laid back down, and then put on, I believe it was either William Buellman or Robert Monroe. I believe it was William Buellman's. And
a Hemisync?
No, it wasn't a Hemisync. It was his, he had one that he made called How to Have an Out-of-Body Experience. Now, eventually he made his own Hemisync tapes, but I started listening to that, and I've gotten to that vibratory state, like, I don't know how many times, and nothing happened, right? So I got to it again, and I'm like, okay, I'm here. This is cool. Like, my whole body was just buzzing, like humming, And I was like, okay, so instead of trying to jerk out like I usually do, I'm just going to lay here for a minute and just see what happens. And then when the humming started to die down, like it felt, I don't know how to explain it. I felt like a tuning fork. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I felt like a tuning fork. And then when the vibration stopped or started to slow down, I kind of like just pushed my palms down on the couch, right? And just set up like as soft as I could. But, I got a little bit of a gut, so you kind of got to do that first little jerk, right? So I'm like, I want to sit up very slowly, but I don't want to jerk, right? And I was like, and it felt so real. I felt my hands hit the couch. Nothing felt different. Nothing, And when I sat up and looked around in the living room, I was like, well, damn it. How come I'm not doing this right? Like nothing was different. There was no shift, no vivid, nothing, And so I stood up and I was going to go back to the kitchen to get, I think, a drink. I'm having, like, my memory's kind of shaky on that, but I do remember turning around and I'm laying there, like, drooling on myself, pretty much. I'm like, holy hell, I did it. Like, I'm watching myself sleep. And at that moment, I was thinking, this is real. And that's all I could think about. Like, this is real. This is real. This is real. This is real. Like, I want to go outside. I want to go outside. Like, I felt like a little kid. So I went outside. I want to fly. I want to fly. I flew into a tree. And the flying part was so cool because it didn't feel like flying. It felt like I would just focus on something and pull myself towards it.
Yes.
That's what it felt like.
Oh, man, that is so significant. Yes, absolutely. And it's like almost like falling too. The ground comes to you rather than you going to it.
Yeah, I looked at a specific limb. And even nowadays, I'll go outside in my yard and look up at that limb. I know exactly which one it was. And I look at it and I just pull myself towards it. It's really strange, right? It's almost like you stretch a little bit and then pull yourself towards it. I remember that specifically. And then I remember hanging upside down from it thinking, look at this. Like, I'm literally can do anything I want, This is so cool. And then I was like, I'm going to go to space. And then I tried to go to space and then everything got all shaky. The next thing you know, I'm back in my body again. It was crazy.
It's great that you didn't have a fear that you were dying. That happens a lot. Like, people get, and it's happened for me many, many times, actually, where I don't know where it's fight or flight, just all of a sudden it's like, did I die? I'm always questioning that anyway. And then you jerk back in. So it's great. But, and that's happened for me, and I consciously go out of body, and I still will get that sometimes. The thing that you're saying that is so significant, though, that I try not, and I know that people that read up on this material understand that it's in that material, but when I'm interviewing people, this is one of those things that I don't want to front load them with, is the idea of how things move. And it's so many people I know that really, truly astral project, that what you explained is what I experience as well, is that things the world comes to you. And so you're flying, but the tree came to you. It's like a gravitational pull.
Yeah, it was,
and
yeah.
that's significant. That just, for some reason, it just validates your experience for me as a listener that this is some true that you were really doing this.
Yeah, it was a specific type of flying, because I remember I was reading Samael Aun-Weor's, like it was a Gnostic book about dream yoga. I was doing all kinds of stuff to try to figure this out. The Hemisync stuff, dream yoga books. I just wanted to get out of the body. So during the day, I would actually walk out in the front of my yard and try to fly, like the book said. Like, even though you can't fly, try. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm sure I look ridiculous to the neighbors, but that's the first thing that hit my mind when I was like, yeah, I did it. I'm out. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the yard. I'm going to fly, and it wasn't like Peter Pan flying. It was just like a direct, like if I looked at a spot it was so mathematical, actually, honestly. If I looked at a spot in space, that pull would be on a direct line. There would be no wavering or anything. It just pulls me straight to it. Like almost as if it's on a zip line with no slack. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how, that's how I experience it. This is one of the things that is so important when, I try to convey this is about when I say question your reality. It's not just in a political sense. It's not just in an existential sense. It's an exercise, and it leads somewhere when you question things. It's just good in general to question everything. You don't have to be a complete rebel and all that, but question things. And the act of questioning creates an engagement with content and with others and your idea of what's happening around you. And this permeates dream space and your waking life, and it puts a little sparkle in the experience, a little magic in the air, because at this point, when you question things, you're open to the cracks in reality. And so, like in psychology, it's how you engage people that are not listening to you. It's one of the tools in psychotherapy.
Oh, so you know some tricks then, huh?
Analysis. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've been to the rodeo, honey. And so this ain't my first time at the rodeo. So, but if you question people, just even in a dialogue, the act of questioning means they have to listen to you, that, you engage that function. Otherwise, you can just sound like the teacher from the Peanuts. And so if you throw in the question, all of a sudden you've engaged a certain function within another person. And so now you have an opportunity to get somewhere. This principle applies to everything. This is like a core part principle. Of initiation. This is another 101. In life, in consciousness, yes. But it's an initiation, like when you first figure out masturbation, right? Most times it's organic. You're just touching yourself, and all of a sudden you don't know what you're doing. It just feels good, and then you realize you get the reward, right? And at least that's how it happened for me, and I couldn't understand.
That's fantastic.
And I remember.
But yeah, I understand what you're saying. So, and
I ran up to my Momo and asked. I said, "What happened?"
Oh yeah. Wow.
But I want to apply that, Joe, to everything. We naturally can get to higher ground in as far as evolution.
Wait, what's your Momo? Was that your mother or your grandmother? I'm sorry.
My Momo is my mother. Yes, my mother.
All right. Never heard that before. Okay.
Yeah, so, it was our thing. I don't know.
So I try to tell people, well, shoot, we got to take a break. So I try to tell people all the time. Like, people ask me about magic initiation. I'm like, you don't have to do magic to go through initiation. There's like dream work. There's all kinds of consciousness exploration you can do. It's just, I think some people are drawn to it, but that's okay. And listen, I want to play you something when we get back in the spirit of Halloween and see if you, the witch Niish, can tell me what this is. I've played it quite a few times on the show. Maybe a few of you will guess what it is. It's pretty spooky. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Joseph Roop is your host. Pull back the blinds and uncover the truth. This is Lighting the Void Radio.
Looking for things that go bump in the night? I am Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange Radio, reminding you to tune in to the Fringe FM this Halloween season and listen to all things paranormal, supernatural, and downright scary. Join the Fringe FM Discord channel and chat live with your favorite host and Fringe friends. Whether it's All Hallows Eve, Dia de los Muertos, or Sam Hain, it's going to get spooky up in here. So scream your heads off with the Fringe FM. Stay strange.
You're listening to the Fringe FM.
Somewhere between abnormal and paranormal, there's a show called Into the Paranormal. I'm Jeremy Scott. Hear me live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern on the Fringe FM.
Hey, I'm J.M. DeBoard, and when I want to talk about dreams, I look up my man Joe Root and his show, Lighting the Void.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you're interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
Listen, I want to tell you about G.I. Joy from GetTheTea.com. It's the best alchemical concoction of goodies for your stomach and digestive system I can recommend, and that's all based on my experience. Packed with colostrum, acidophilus, aloe, peppermint, and turmeric. If you do your own research, then you know this is the bee's knees for the stomach and digestion. Now, due to Big Brother's ears and the eye in the sky, you know I can't go into the details about what it helped me with. All I can say is I got relief. It's non-GMO, no fillers, no preservatives, manufactured right here in the US of A, and delivered to you by the only people who stay on top of the game and are out in front. Go grab a bottle of G.I. Joy at GetTheTea.com and see what all the fuss is about. Again, that's GetTheTea.com.
OMG! People are jumping on board to the Life Change Tea Regiment. Brew, steep, and drink for a gentle, taste-great cleanse. It's changing how they feel. See what everybody's talking about. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea aids in digestive slowdown and helps people get moving down a healthy path. We won't make claims. We'll just let you decide. Experience is much better than a commercial anyway. If you want results, log on to GetTheTea.com and purchase your super strength cleansing tea. You won't be disappointed. And if you're looking for some mind-body suggestions, go to YouTube and punch in the search bar Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Put power into your health now. So, GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com for super strength tea. And YouTube, Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now for valuable suggestions. GetTheTea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Hi, this is Sammy. Join us in the Deep South as we're lighting the void with Joe Roop on the Fringe FM.
Right, me old Chinas. I know it's an ad break, but before you lot shoot off and make yourself a cup of Rosie Lee or whatever else it is you're going to sling down your Gregory Peck, you need to listen to me babble. If, like me, you found your way to Lighting the Void via a downloadable podcast, you might want to take a butcher's at the Fringe FM Wind and Kite. You won't Adam and Eve how many other shows there are or what they rabbit on about. Ancient history, conspiracy, the consciousness, the esoteric, the occult, metaphysics, parapolitical, ufology, technology and spirituality, to name but a few. They got featured hosts like Ryan Gable, Jeremy Scott, Alex Exum, Tim Doyle, Cortana and Gigi, Susanna Ross, the Reverend John Polk, Michael Deacon and J.D. Lewis. You might find yourself listening to the thoughts and theories of the author of The Fish you just finished reading. Or you could pick up the dog and bone, call in and tell everyone your own beliefs or experiences. So do me a favour, before you put on the Ansel or crack open a bottle of vino or roll a joint, go to the Fringe FM and see what you're missing.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
To call Joe, pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada.
Nish is telling me, like, hey, stop talking. We got to get back on the air. And I'm just like, hey, who's running the show here? But obviously you are, and that's good, Nish. That's fine.
You're Big Daddy.
Yeah, but it's okay. I wish some nights, the thing is it would be nice to have like a backup host every now and then, you know how those big time, big hosts, they have backup hosts and stuff. One of these days I'll be able to get one.
Yeah.
But, so I wanted to play this to you first, and I wanted to tell you the story. And then I know you got a pretty freaky story to talk about with aliens. You had some kind of, that's kind of a left turn for
experience.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So,
but I've been saving it for your show, Joe.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I want to play this for you, and I want to make sure it's loud enough that you can hear it. And so here's the story. This guy goes into a mine, and this is somewhere in Australia, I think. And this guy is not one of those people on YouTube that go looking for sounds or ghosts. He's actually trying to make money off selling flashlights because he explores mines. And he runs into the sound deep in the mine, and it freaks him out. And I might have to find it, fast forward it, but you just bear with me here. And then you tell me what you think it is. All right, here we go. Let me get this.
And it's in Australia?
I think so, yeah.
These timbers, that's about almost a foot in diameter, the big cross timber. So they had to put big ones in here to hold up all of this rock. You can see right here.
We'll have to fast forward it,
bending.
No, we'll just play it.
Do you hear that? Sounds like what is that? Wind? I want you to hear that on the camera. Do you hear that? Stopped. Wow. I don't know what that is. That doesn't wind, but that's crazy. Don't know if that's a bird or I don't know what that is. It sounds like snakes.
So when he's deep in this mine by himself, right? Like way deep in there, and it's like there's a barrier there where the closer he gets, the louder that noise gets. And you can see when he's like, I don't know what that is, and he takes that last step. And that's on YouTube if any of you guys want to watch it. You can just type in scary mine sound, right? And he videotapes the whole thing. And the closer he gets to it, the louder it gets. And I can almost hear him saying, turn around, right? And it freaks him out. Like he's not crossing that barrier because the noise is just getting louder and louder. And some people are saying, well, it could be some type of weird echo effect. It sounds like voices to me. Sorry. What do you think?
Well, my first thought, there is echoing for sure with it. I hear that, but that's part of the cave acoustics, right? So, and caves are very echoey. My very first thought was bats. However, the more that played, the less it sounded like bats, and it definitely sounded like voices to me. It's very creepy.
It's worth another listen, isn't it? It definitely is. It's worth another one. Hold on, let me see if I can just play it from here.
You hear that? You hear that? Stopped. Wow. I don't know what that is. That doesn't sound like a wind, but that's crazy. Don't know if that's a bird or I don't know what that is. It all sounds like snakes. Wow. I heard some weird minds. That is creepy. I don't know what that is. So let's get out of here.
Close, right when you get close.
Don't know if that's a bird or Wow. I don't know what that is. That doesn't sound like a wind.
And so I think, I don't know, it just freaks me out.
It sounds like chanting almost. It sounds like it's got a eeriness to it. It sounds like chanting almost. And it sounds rather witchy in that sense, like there's a group of people chanting and it's echoing, but it's got an etheric, that it's not of, say, this world feel to it. It's very creepy. I like it. I'd sample it and put in some music.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right? Like it doesn't sound.
It sounds like some of the stuff I put in my that I do myself. I put everything in my music's me unless I state, but it sounds like something I would put in music, Joe. It's very creepy.
Yeah, and it kind of echoes
really
when he's
like
talking too.
To me.
I don't know if I played it right, but it just, if you watch it, it just seems like it's the only paranormal thing I think I've ever witnessed in my life. I tried to get the guy on the show, and he's like, look, I'm not into the haunted stuff or whatever, I'm just trying to make money off like flashlights off my YouTube video. Didn't want to talk to me. So it seemed pretty legit, right? And I was thinking, maybe I got a witch here. Maybe she could tell me what it was. But
yeah, I can't. I'm gonna watch the video too, so I want to see it. So I'll check it out later. But I'm not a psychic.
Yeah, but you could. You might have experienced something like that. Playing with wands and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I'm just playing.
I've played with some wands. I have had definitely some creepy, unexplained things go on in my life. I'm a definite in the camp of there's a lot possible. There's a lot more going on than we know. I've got a sense of conviction in that.
Yeah, these people want a link now. I knew it.
So are you?
Go find it. Just hit the search box. Scary sound and mine. That's it.
Yeah, we need that. Jerry should have that should pull that up too. We should get that.
And I think this was doubling. I think it was doubling up too. So, I'll find you guys the link. So tell me, since you can't tell me what the hell that noise is, I've been trying to figure that out for years, actually. I think it's been a couple years now.
I mean, everyone. Yeah. Yeah, it's very provocative. I like that. And this is what I love about mysterious stuff. I mean, the imagination just wanders. Isn't it a wonderful thing?
I'm dropping the link in the chat now for you guys. And all right, so tell me about, people want to hear about magic and stuff, right? That's what everybody wants to talk about. But I would rather hear about how Niish the Witch had an alien experience. What happened?
I'm out there in woo-woo land. Everyone knows that. So I saved the story for this show. I knew it was coming on, and since I had brought forward that unidentified flying object last time, which was a first time for me in the daytime to see anything like that close. Well, here was another first, and just phenomenal. Again, I have a witness with me, and a rather straight-laced witness, that I didn't bring it up right away. I brought it up later because it didn't seriously register in my mind until later. There's this weird phenomena with it. I encountered this and checked in with reality at the moment of encountering it, and I will tell what it is in a second here, and then checked it in my head as this is very awkward and weird. And then in the middle of the night, I woke up in a cold sweat going, whoa, this was definitely not right. And then when I got the confirmation separately, because I didn't bring it up when it happened, when I got the confirmation separately later, the same situation happened for, realization with that person. So here's the experience. I'm at a local antique mall, and I'm, wandering around looking for treasures. This couple of people, and I'm, air quote people, like seemingly humans, were in there, and so they were awkward, and I knew they were kind of awkward, but I didn't pay attention. And I do pay attention, but I'm not a gawker at all. But I do have an eye for the unusual, and I do like the unusual. So I see beauty in strange places. I want to preface that.
Sure.
So the one that seemed like a male was extremely tall, and so tall, I'd say like Minnesota tall, like almost 7 feet tall. Because there are a lot of very tall guys in Minnesota, and women, but there's some of the tallest guys I've ever known and dated were all like in that Minnesota, upper Iowa range, where they're like 6'5" up to 7 feet. And so this person was up in that range, like I say, above 6'6", but extremely skinny with so I didn't even look up. It's not my thing to. I've been around very tall people in my life. I wasn't, when we passed each other, I wasn't going to look up and gawk. I just kept about my business. It's the seemingly female person that made me question this guy later. So the one that was reading as a female was very short, like in my I'd say in my height range. So, anywhere from, I don't know what shoes this person was wearing, and I had boots on. So anywhere from like, I'd say 5'2" to 5'6", I'd say. That's where I'd guess. But looked so short next to this person, like at his waist, and like down there with me. And she was standing, like I walked by, and the nervous, weird energy with her. This guy had extremely long arms that just seemed like they just were unusually long, like too long. But immediately, like her energy, so she kind of hid behind him, and she had the hair. So the person I was with equated her to Throw Mama from the Train. And so she had that hair, and where it's that bob level where it can, flops around in the face and can kind of hide your face. It's that shoulder length bob. And so my periphery noticed the facial features which were very unusual, very, very, very unusual. Very extremely wide set eyes, unusual forehead, tiny, tiny, tiny mouth. Like the mouth didn't look like it functioned. And then this floppiness to the head, and the hair was flopping around. And then in the periphery also. And she was looking at me, but every time.
What do you mean a floppy head?
Yeah. Well, it was like her bob was, she was looking down and trying to look at me, but not look at me. And every time she'd move her head, that hair would flop into her face. So the hair was giving this illusion, kind of like floppy, because it was swinging around and kind of veiling her face, or its face. And so there's all that, and I'll get into a little bit more detail here in a second. Right. So I'm intrigued, and in my periphery, because I'm not a gawker, so I am trying to look now at my periphery. This is so strange. Sure. The body type was very awkward. So again, with the little one, it was they're both in kind of grunge outfits, but this one had I'm almost like a boy body, but super thin, very, very thin. But, like I didn't really notice breasts, but it was reading female because of the hair in the general face was reading female. But long arms again, and really like a long torso. Mm-hmm. And so then I tried to hone in again. I'm shopping, and so I'm trying to look forward, and she's looking at me, but every time she'd catch me periphery and her like looking side-eyed at her, she knew I was. And so I got one last look at her face, and just her whole skin tone was off. So I chalked it off to being strange. In a weird way, I thought this is possibly someone in transition, and she's just in the beginning of her transition from one thing to another, and that's how my head had to justify the awkwardness of it. And so in the middle of the night, like I said, it's like 3 a.m, I woke up in a cold sweat, and I sat up. And I knew immediately now, after my brain had processed the data, after I was in this calm state, this sleepy state, and I could kind of parse through images like stills, in a film, and just have my mind's eye look at them again. It looked like E.T. from the movie, but with a human skin tone and a wig slapped on it. It was totally not a human, Joe.
What
and
in
I
the
don't
hell?
think the big one was, but I never
Did you ever ask yourself, like, am I awake? Am I like dreaming? I would have asked myself that.
Anyone that listens to Nox Mente knows that I am I'm not sure that we're not dead. You know what I'm saying? I question this whole experience of waking reality.
I just got a really weird chill.
Yes, of course.
I'm not dead. I'm alive.
I just want. Well, that's, it's possible that we are all dead. Anyway, so this was not human. There's no way. It's like when I had the Sasquatch experience, which I did not believe in before I had it out here on Mount Hood. And now I'm 100% these things exist. I don't know if it was interdimensional. I don't know any of that. And I don't care. It was not friendly. It did not want to be seen. And I don't ever want to encounter it again. I don't care, but it does exist. So this thing was definitely not human. I don't think either one was, but the little one was. There's no way those features, and that's, I think, part of why that the hair was cut in that way. They passed if you're just walking casually around. They're in normal garb, with normal, just standard fare. And unless you're looking directly at them, they pass, they get by. So one of my ET friends suggested, because I have lots of friends in all kinds of woo, suggested that they were like, there's all kinds of woo here, Joan, you know this. So someone called them like a traveler. Like there's this idea that these other beings come here, and it's like a destination to kind of see the humans, or whatever.
Yeah, just check us out.
No matter whatever. Yeah, but this thing wasn't human, and that's why I woke up in a cold sweat, because when I actually was able to focus in, snapshot those stills in my head, and look at them clearly, everything in my body in the moment said this wasn't human. And in the experience, when I was going through it, it was so awkward. So when I asked my companion the same thing, he said the same thing. I said, was there anyone, and I didn't front load him. I asked him, I said, was there anything strange at the antique mall? And, he's like, are you talking about those two strange people? And I said, yeah, what did you think? And he told me the same experience I had with the female one. He's like, she was staring, but every time I'd look, she'd put her head down and was awkward and weird. And he explained her similarly. So that's my experience, Joe. And wow. It is awkward. And I can't tell you, that cold sweat, which was a realization sweat of, holy crap, this was a real experience, and it does not fit into my normalcy balance, my normalcy bias.
Yeah, like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, hit the normality button. Listen, this is the last break of the night. Then, in the spirit of October and the spirit of a spooky tale, I'd like to play just a little bit of one of the best dark artists on the planet, Professor Bones, as we head into the break. We'll be right back.
Yes.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Looking for things that go bump in the night? I am Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange Radio, reminding you to tune in to The Fringe FM this Halloween season and listen to all things paranormal, supernatural, and downright scary. Join the Fringe FM Discord channel and chat live with your favorite host and Fringe friends. Whether it's All Hallows Eve, Dia de los Muertos, or Sam Hain, it's going to get spooky up in here. So scream your heads off with the Fringe FM. Stay strange.
We all have that story to tell in our lives. The winds were howling. The ground shook. You could hear rushing water. And then history repeats itself. When there's no power, refrigeration fails, stores with their shelves strip bare, ATMs can't operate,
deliveries stop. Then what? These events can last days or weeks. You need a plan. In statements made during recent interviews, FEMA Administrator Brock Long has repeatedly urged all Americans to understand three truths. FEMA is broke, the system is broken. If this is the new normal, Americans can't rely on federal cavalry when disaster strikes. Don't get caught out in the elements empty-handed. Prepare with us by going to preparewiththefringe.com and get your 2-week food supply. 92 servings, 8 food varieties with 25 years shelf life. Normally $137, now only $75. Or get a month's supply, normally $247, now only $147, shipped in one business day. Just go to preparewiththefringe.com or call 888-440-7931. That's 888-440-7931. Get this great offer and be prepared while it lasts.
I'm Clyde Lewis. You know, there's nothing more terrifying than the witching hour.
I'm J.D. Lewis. What would Halloween be without a ghost hunt?
I'm Jeremy Scott. You know, when the lights go down, the strange comes alive.
I'm Ron Patton. Ghost hunting? You didn't tell me there would be ghosts.
Ron, are you afraid of ghosts?
I much prefer spirits.
I guess we're leaving Ron at the bar.
Join us on the Fringe FM Ghost Hunt.
Live this Sunday at midnight Pacific until 3:33 in the morning.
Or 666 if you prefer.
Only on the Fringe FM.
Introducing Shadow Light Tarot from Waking Canvas. The Fringe FM's new contributing artist, Eric Tesey. This hand-illustrated black and white self-published deck serves as a reinvention of the tarot, never before witnessed. Each of the several suits of this 88-card deck lineup form an infinite panoramic scene. Even the included visual companion guidebook is entirely hand-illustrated, cover to cover, with beautiful visuals and esoteric symbols and artwork. The newly released deck comes in a custom magnetic box with its own travel pouch. The Shadow Light Tarot Premium Deck and its travel-sized mini deck Wonderlight Tarot are both available now from WakingCanvas.com. If you use the code word FRINGE, that's F-R-I-N-G-E at checkout, you'll receive an extra 10% off your entire order. To discover more, including a free reading and time lapses of all the illustrated artwork, make your way over to WakingCanvas.com today. That's WakingCanvas.com.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast. Need another late night fix? You can tune in every weeknight to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop on the Fringe FM.
I'm Clyde Lewis. You are listening to the Fringe FM. So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
This is Dan Lopez with Spiritual Warrior Today Radio, and when I'm battling demons, I listen to Lighting the Void with my man Joe Roop right here on thefringe.fm.
So I'm kind of hoping that this music that you're hearing is by one of the best artists, pianists in the world, Professor Bones, in my opinion. And hopefully around Halloween, you'll be able to hear something pretty special. I'm hoping. I don't know for sure yet. But tonight, Niish is our guest from Nox Mente, noxmente.com, or noxmente.simplecast.com. Niish is an occultist, witch, consciousness explorer, musician, artist, you name it, all of the above. One of my favorite witchy people in the world. Also tomorrow night, we're going to have another one, Mary Ducina, the Psychic Call-In Show. You guys have already been emailing me to ask her questions 2 days before the show comes on. That's pretty impressive. So I'm pretty sure we're going to break the phone lines again tomorrow night. But yeah, that's what's going on. The Scorpio, we're going to be talking about the Scorpio season, which she's a Scorpio too, born on Halloween. Pretty trippy stuff. I think it's time we get into something a little bit different about Niish, though. Got all these stories and experiences with you and stuff. I want to hear some of this music. What do you got? You got a clip for us here? What is this? Tell me.
I do. So this one was my last Samhain, last Halloween's little homage, and to questioning, are we dead? What are the dead? All this. It's a very short little clip here. As with all my music, there's video accompanying it on my YouTube channel. It's all downloadable and free. And this one was last year's sound piece. So here it is. It's 2 minutes, and this is the audio. The audio stands up on its own. Self-explanatory.
I hope it's... Yeah, here we go.
I love a lot of people. A lot of dead people. Are they ghosts? Spirits? Are they nothing? Fragmented memories, intangible now. Do they know something I don't? Can they help me? Where are they? Where am I?
Are you literally trying to scare the hell out of me? Because it worked. You got to let me play that, like Halloween night. You got to let me play that,
yes.
like 3 o'clock in the morning or something. You know. Just when everybody's,
I can't recall who.
When everybody's good and zoned out.
They said that's what they had said. I got this feedback from someone. I've got this core little group of wonderful people, and they said this is going to be playing all day for Halloween to scare everyone. I don't think it's scary, but I appreciate that. I really, truly appreciate it. I have other scarier things, I think. All the pieces are so different. Joe, I love that reaction.
No, we got Kurt's in the chat room on his knees praying. He's so scared. Oh, God, help me, please, God. What a baby. Don't be a baby, Kurt. Imagine it. Can you
I really
imagine
like doing trancey.
hanging out at Niish's house? Like, listen, while you're here, I'm going to cook you something, and I'm going to want you to play some music while you're waiting on your meal, right?
Here, have some
I'm like,
cakes
how
and light.
long would you be able to sit in that house before you're like, listen, I got to go feed the pig. I mean, I got bills to pay. I got stuff I got to do, you know?
Oh, it's so cozy in here. And I will say, I want to put this on the record. I have never, not once, interfered with food that I served anyone. I am absolutely ethically against it. I think it's terrible, and it's kept me from eating others' food. And I hate that I have to think like that, but I know that it goes on. It's a tradition. It's a practice. And I find it extremely offensive personally. But that said, beware what you're eating, people, and from whom you're taking food.
No, that's not what I meant. I mean, just like your music is kind of odd and strange and cool, and it's already got grown men. I'm talking about full grown men, by the way, at least 40, just crying, thinking that we're all going to burn in hell right now. You know, so.
Oh, dear. Well, I have a wide range of stuff. I really am into this kind of trancey, meditative stuff, but everything I do does kind of have a dark tinge to it, a little bit. You're in the realm of the mysteries.
Yeah, there's some, I put the video in the chat too. You got to watch the video with it. For real. Because there's
it's a cute little video, yeah.
So when you do that, do you just kind of like,
I make
okay,
all that. That's all me.
Do you plot it all out, or do you just kind of go with it?
I'm really gonzo about all my art. Everything happens so fast, Joe. I don't overthink. I don't storyboard. I get out and I record. I lay down tracks and I record fast. I've been working with a sound guy, Hagadaga, like a DJ, and anyone that I've worked with gets credit. So if there's no one credited, then it's 100% stuff I did. And otherwise, Hagadaga's been giving me beats to play with, and I've been throwing vocalizations, weird stuff and trancey stuff on top of that, and then making these videos. And they're all a little different. So you can't type me. There's no typing me. They're all a little different. Everything's different. And like I said, this was all born out of spoken word through poetry.
Well,
but I was doing this stuff years ago. I was doing this kind of stuff a long time ago. So it's like a circling back to my roots, really. Where I started in art was doing time art, stuff like this.
Well, that's cool. It's art is art, right? I mean, you're expressing yourself. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm in most of my videos. That one actually is one of the few that I'm not in, and I wanted it to have Mae West in it, and so I do, because one of my biggest influences in life, especially as a female, was Mae West. And my mother always said, it's better to be funny than pretty. And I just took that to heart always. And I think about Mae West, how she brought both. She has so much presence, so vaudeville. And yet, she was a great sex symbol at the same time. So that's that's the Halloween piece, y'all, from last year.
Well, you know what? Look, here's the thing. I'm just trying to tell you how effective it is. So our producer, Pancho, he just texted in. He said, I was literally starting to slip into sleep, and I came back out of my sleep while that was playing. It was incredibly trippy. Sweet dreams, Pancho.
I love that. Yes. I love a lot of people, a lot of dead people.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of funny. Like once you realize what fear is, actually,
Yeah, it's actually a really deep piece if you think about what is being said there. Like time is a tape, and we all come here to play, and that whole idea. So I'm playing with that idea of our lives are kind of a drama, a sacred drama, and we all come here and we play our part. And so, in the end, there's poetry in the words is what I'm getting at. And so I layer it in with that kind of very eerie beats.
Now you have like album covers. It's really cool too. So you sell this on Bandcamp and other places as well. Do you have your music there?
No, I need to get it together. So right now everything's on YouTube and it's all downloadable. I allow people to download. It's all free. Use it, be with it, share it. But I'm going to get it together. I'm working on a concept album, actually. Imagine that. And I'm also working on poetry's been one of my things my whole life. And I have 2 other poetry books, but I'm working on a new poetry book that's selected works. And that's kind of a new project. So I've got a concept album coming out and a poetry book. And the poetry is in a whole different vein from the music. The poetry is definitely another thing altogether and not creepy at all. So it's hard to typecast me, Joe. You know this.
No, there's no typecasting.
And I'm all over. I don't allow. I just don't allow boundaries for myself. And so I think that's, and it's honest. It's just honest. It is. I'm giving you what I'm into at the moment. And I like to change and I like to explore. And so sometimes I'm light, sometimes I'm dark.
Yeah, that's okay. Everybody is, man.
But I always have a sense of humor, people. I always have a sense of humor.
I would say, like, if I could give anybody any advice during this phase, actually, that we're going through, is to, instead of being afraid of your dark side, I'm not asking you to worship it or embrace it. I'm just asking you to just look at it. Just for a second.
Yes. Yes.
That's all.
Yeah. It's you. It's you in the end. And we have to do, this is a great talk for this time of year, because the veil's thin between here and there, between life and death. And this is the kind of thing. And then we have to think about this. We're going to all die if we're not already dead anyway, but we all have to process that idea of it. And it's better to get ahead of the curve. It's better to try and think about it. And in that, because I think death is one of the bigger darknesses, and, horror is based around it and all that. So get comfortable with the idea, become friends with it, because in the end, death and the idea of death is really just the other side of life. Birth and death are the same thing to me. You go through the process. They're just membranes we pass through.
Yeah, that's so, wow, very well spoken. Are you sure about that, though?
I feel really certain about it. I came into this life almost like I am now. Like I felt stuck. I got stuck in a baby body and knew, like, my first thought was, oh crap, I thought I was having sleep paralysis, and I couldn't move, and I realized I was in a baby's body. And when I told my mother this later, it had to be before I was 6 months old, because I described the room and everything, and we had moved from that place when I was 6 months. So, and I came in with those thoughts thinking I was having sleep paralysis, but lo and behold, I was in this life as this vessel as a baby. And I moved. That's why I walked. I never crawled. I was able to read before I hit first, kindergarten. My mother worked with me, and my cousin was the same way, and I believe my brother. So, that was adamant, but we entered school that way. And I've always been ahead of the curve in those ways, because I've always had a sense of the transience of life and the fact that I've just been stuck in this vessel. So I'm one of those people that thinks like an immortal. This is just a passing this is transience. We're riding in these avatars, and we are more than these avatars.
Oh, can we trade them in? Like a car? Because that would be cool.
I know. Well, look at where science is going. I mean, I think we can be bionic here soon.
Yep, you can get any part you want, and you can also make it totally robotic if you want nowadays. So, yeah, you're right. That's pretty much all it is.
We should talk about that next time. I have a lot of theories on all that.
I bet you do. And I've had a fantastic time talking to you, but I really, since you've taken this time to come on to the show, it would be really cool if you could take the time to tell everybody that's maybe heard you for the first time where to find you, where to follow you, all the places to visit online.
I'm so not together on that. If you go to our gate, Nox Mente, which is the podcast I do with Jerry Cthulhu, noxmente.com, and you check on our YouTube channel. If you go to our YouTube channel, it says your hosts, and there's Jerry and I. I'm Niish on YouTube, but there are a lot of others. So getting to my YouTube channel through Nox Mentes is easy. That gets you to my music and videos. And then I'm Niish13 on Twitter and Niish369 on Instagram. And we have a Discord channel that you can get to through our portal, noxmente.com. So those are kind of my things. I'm not really out. And on our Discord channel, I'm really accessible and easy to chat with, by the way.
Yeah, it's fun Discord too. We got to get Jerry in here up late one late night, just to sit back and negate everything.
Oh, Jerry's a hoot. Right?
Like negate everything we say
with Jerry,
right? No, Jerry's.
I know. I call it his Tourette's.
No, but he has to look. You got to have a devil's advocate in the room. You got to. Because you got to have somebody that's going to be like, hey, you're not right all the time. Shut up. What about this? You got to have that.
I love my Jerry. I'm so happy to have a show with Jerry. He's absolutely wonderful. He's the bread to my butter. So we have a great time together on our shows. Yes.
Yeah.
He's a kook. He's been at all the cons. The CryptoCon and all that. He's supporting Nox Mente like that.
I've been saving some specific, I'll tell you about this after the show because I don't want to say it on the air because it'll be a kind of a sad thing, but I'll tell you off the air. But I've been saving some specific experiences just in case something happens because I'm a huge fan of your show.
Ooh.
Big time. Big fan of your show. So if you guys are into consciousness exploration, you need to check out Nox Mente. I mean, you just have to.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on again. I love the show so much. I feel like part of the family, and I appreciate every time I come on. I appreciate you and the audience. Thank you so much.
Well, you're very welcome, and we appreciate having you here. And we're going to roll out of here. Look, tomorrow night's the big night, big call-in night, our new moon show with Mary Ducina in Scorpio, the big one, the dark one, right? That's tomorrow night. Make sure you call in. I want to give Pacho a big shout out for tonight and this week as well. Don, all y'all in the chat room, Jeremy Scott, Eric Markham, Dan Lopez, everybody that's been on this week, thank you all. Please don't copy the show without written permission. Music was by Chronox, guitar by Bundy, special music by Professor Bones. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Good night. Oh, yeah, and donate if you can. Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm not tired.